Welcome back, Goonies. Or if it's your first time here, don't worry, you're just in time. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button if you're into haunted echoes, cursed tales, and the kind of stories that follow you offline. As always, I've collected a few tales for the night, ones that slip through the cracks of time, buried in old books, maybe some forgotten news clippings. Might have got a couple off of Beyonce's internet, you never know. And some might just be whispers from someone who swore they knew what they saw. There's no jump scares here, just that slow dread, the creeping kind, the kind that makes you feel like, was that deja vu, but a little darker? So light a candle, lock your doors, and let's open the veil. Our first story up tonight is going to be The Signal Man. I know some of you know this, so no spoilers. Story number 1, The Signal Man. There was something about the way he looked up at me from that dark, narrow tunnel that chilled me to the bone. "Hello, below there," I called down from the edge. He didn't answer right away, just stared, eyes wide, like he wasn't sure I was real. Eventually, he motioned for me to come down the steep path, and I did, slowly. The air down there was colder. He was a railway signalman, a quiet, intelligent man who worked alone in a small brick box beside the tracks. I visited him a few times. He told me his job was simple but precise: watching the tunnel, watching the signals, communicating with the next station via telegraph, and just keeping an eye on things. He took pride in being reliable. But I knew in that moment that something was off. One night, after a long silence, he asked, "Have you ever seen something you couldn't explain? Like something you wish you hadn't?" That's when he told me. He had been seeing a figure, a man, or what looked like one, appearing just outside the tunnel mouth. Sometimes it waved, sometimes it covered its face in despair, and every time it showed up, something terrible happened. The first time, a horrific train crash, dozens dead. The second, a young woman died suddenly on a passing train, a complete mystery. Each time, the figure came before the tragedy. Was it a warning? It was here again last night, he said, voice barely above a whisper. Just standing, just watching me. As if he'd spoken to anyone else about it. He said no. He feared people would call him crazy. But that look in his eyes, he believed it. He believed every word. I promised to come back the next evening. Maybe together we could figure all this out. But when I returned the next day, he was gone. Or rather, he was there, but not alive. They found him dead, struck by a train. The engineer said he tried to warn him. He shouted the exact words I had once used. "Hello, below there." And the way the driver described the signalman's final moments, standing on the tracks, frozen, staring towards the tunnel. Just like he described the ghost. Maybe he was just tired. Maybe it was a tragic accident. But I remember the fear in his voice, the way he clutched signal wire when he spoke. I don't know what he saw, but I'll never walk by a tunnel again without looking twice. Story number 2. William Wilson. His name was William Wilson, or at least that's what he said. He was brilliant, charming, possibly a little dangerous, and he was slowly losing his mind. It started when he was young in a strict, gloomy boarding school. The place was heavy with silence, full of shadows and harsh rules. But what truly haunted him was another student. A boy who looked like him, sounded like him, had the same name. At first, it was just a little weird. But soon, that double started showing up at the worst possible moments. Whenever William tried to cheat, lie, or hurt someone, his double would appear. Never loud, never violent, just there. Like a conscience made real, if you will. It drove him absolutely mad. He left the school, traveled across Europe, changed his life, and yet the double followed. Years passed. He tried to escape. He tried to live fast, recklessly, but the double was always there, shadowing him, staring, silently judging. Until one night, at a grand masquerade, William finally snapped. He dragged the double into a side room. No one was looking. No one stopped him. And he kicked him dead. But when the mask fell away, he was staring at his own face. Pale, still, bleeding. And the last words from his double's lips were, "You have conquered, and I am destroyed. But from this moment, you are also dead. To the world, to heaven, and to hope." William Wilson lived, but not as a man, at least not really. He had killed the only part of him that was worth saving. Story number 3. The Upper Berth. They say never sleep in cabin 105. At least, not if you plan on waking up. On board a luxury ocean liner, passengers keep dying in the same room. No signs of violence, no clues, just terror and silence. Our narrator is a pretty irrational man. He doesn't believe in ghosts, so he books the room, alone. That night, the ship rocks quietly. Everything seems normal until dripping, slow, steady, and cold. Then the upper berth creaks. He stares into the dark and he sees it. Something soaked, grotesque, climbing down from the upper bunk, slithering, dripping seawater onto the floor. It has no face, no breath, no warmth. He lunges, tries to fight it, but it disappears. It got away. They search the room. The porthole, always found shut, is wide open. Every person who died in that room, same thing. And every time, no one saw a thing, except for the survivors who didn't sleep long enough to be pulled under. So if you hear dripping at night and you're near water, don't look up. Story number 4. They said she just needed a rest. No writing, no reading, just quiet, peace and quiet. Her husband, a doctor, took her to a country estate to heal. He locked her in the top floor room The one with the bars on the windows. The one where the wallpaper didn't quite sit still. It was yellow, faded, torn in strange places. She started seeing patterns in it. Then movement. Then a woman. A woman was crouched behind the wallpaper, crawling, always crawling. Her husband said she was imagining things, told her she needed to sleep more, maybe think a little less. But the woman behind the paper kept moving. Night after night, she was moving. Until one day, she started peeling the paper off the walls, bit by bit, nail by nail. And when her husband broke in, he found her creeping along the edge of the room, smiling. She looked up and said, "I've got out at last, and I've pulled off most of the paper, so you can't put me back." She wasn't alone in that room. She never has been. Our last story for tonight is an oldie but goodie. Story number 5, The Judge's House. Malcolm was a student. He was smart. He was focused. He needed a little peace and quiet for his studies. So he rented a house far, far from town. An empty, dusty, isolated house. It was perfect. Except it used to belong to a judge, a cruel one, the kind who loved sentencing people to hang. The house felt very heavy. The main study held a massive portrait of the judge, stern eyes, powdered wigs, and a permanent scowl. Malcolm thought, whatever. He didn't really think anything of it. He lit some candles and hit the books. Until he heard some scratching. Scratching started light. Then it became deeper and deeper. What was soft was now strong, persistent. From above the ceiling, then the walls, then the floor. He found a rat, a massive rat. Its eyes were bright. Too knowing, if I'd say so myself, almost like it had been here before. He tried to trap it. It vanished. And that portrait, the eyes looked lower each night. The final night, he climbed onto the table to reach a candle, and something wrapped around his throat. A rope. They found him the next morning, hanging. The portrait? The portrait. It was back to normal. The rat? Nowhere to be seen. But some say it's still watching. Right from the judge's chair. All right, Goonies. That's all we got for this video. Thank you for popping in and hanging out with me to listen to some of my favorite stories. This is a grab bag edition, and I just love these stories. So I will be back in the next video with a few more stories, and we'll have some from the internet sprinkled in there. So if you like this type of content, don't forget, please hit that subscribe button, follow me on the socials, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Sleep tight.